What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I got some new news concerning the WBC president, Jose Sulaiman, and his statements about Canelo Alvarez. Mr. Sulaiman has been back and forth with Canelo Alvarez, and the statements that he made during a ceremony for Canelo Alvarez, where he received all of his belts, this new super middleweight belt and the regular WBC belt that he once had at middleweight. Jose said this. He said that Canelo silenced the critics. He answered a lot of questions. He shut a lot of mouths in this fight, and he proved that he was the better fighter. And also, we're glad to have Canelo back representing Mexico, and he's the first to raise his name, or the first to raise his country, rather, Via Mexico, and, he's proud to have him with the belt back. So, it was a standard, ceremony. A lot of that was talk, but the talks that I want to counterpunch today is what he said about Canelo Alvarez in regards to Golovkin, because that's who he was talking about. He proved that he said that Canelo proved that he was the better fighter, and he silenced a lot of critics. Well, what I say to that is, I think that that's not 100% true. That may be 20% true. For one, Canelo Alvarez didn't prove that he was the better fighter. He proved that he is a fighter that can change his fighting style, that he's versatile. He proved that he wasn't scared of Golovkin. So in that sense, silence critics, like Kellerman saying he won the story of the fight. Okay, if that's what you want to say, okay, I'll give you that, because Canelo just changed his fighting style, which was nothing was wrong with the first one. It's just not a standard Mexican style fight or a fighter from Mexico. But Canelo was never a standard regular fighter from Mexico. Neither is Juan Manuel Marquez. Okay? Juan Manuel Marquez is a counterpuncher. You know what I'm saying? He waits, he baits you in, and he's a technician in there, and he thinks with his brain. He doesn't go in like an Antonio Margarito or an Angulo. Those are the standard Mexican style fighters. Okay? So I don't know what they meant by that. I don't know why they had a problem with Canelo fighting the fight that he fought the first time. But either way, Canelo Alvarez was still outpointed. I'm not going to necessarily... He was really outworked too. You know what I mean? It's just the second fight, the perception of someone moving forward, you could say he walked Golovkin down. No, he just moved forward, and Golovkin didn't have to follow him or chase him, or try to find him in there by cutting off the ring, because Canelo changed his game plan up for moving forward. Okay, so yeah, of course Golovkin did what he needed to do. That's why those uppercuts were so available for Golovkin, and he landed those all night, as well as the jab. So he has established a jab and an uppercut in that fight. The only problem Golovkin had was he ignored the body, which was stupid. It wasn't really that was my problem with Golovkin, because the body shot, the left hook to the body after the jab, it was there all day, especially the straight right. He could have followed the straight right with a left hook to the body. He didn't do any of that. But of course, I wasn't in there, and Canelo is a counterpuncher himself, so he was actually more concerned with what was coming back. So I get it, you know what I mean? But there still was opportunities for Golovkin to go to the body. But Canelo did not prove that he was the better man that night. First fight you had a draw, okay? Which a lot of people, including myself, think Golovkin did enough to win, to beat you. Then you get a split decision a win against a fighter. And then the president of the sanctioning body belt says that you proved that you were the better fighter. How do you prove that you're the better fighter? By getting those type of results from a fight. In both fights, he's still, regardless of his game plan, moving using lateral movement and counterpunching or moving forward, he wasn't able to outwork Golovkin. Golovkin still outlanded this guy. He outlanded him in power punches, but anything besides a jab is considered a power punch. But of course, if you know, people like Golovkin, Ike Corte, even Jermall Charlo have power jabs, okay? There is a such thing. Golovkin's jab will pepper you. It will hurt you. It will affect you. It will set you up for different punches. And Golovkin landed that at will because Canelo came forward. So how in the hell did that prove that he was the better man? And see, mind you, not saying Canelo could never counter the jab. He did that in some spots. But he didn't do like a Mayweather-ish demonstration of how you counter over the jab to make Golovkin stop jabbing, okay? Because, see, had that been someone that proved he was the better fighter, he would have done like Mayweather done Canelo. You know what I'm saying? Mayweather proved that he was the better fighter, the smarter fighter, the better boxer. He proved that in that fight. So no one could actually ever say, oh, Canelo is a better fighter than Mayweather. You could never say that now. You see what I'm saying? So, I don't know what he meant by that. I think it was complete favoritism. Of course, money talks, and BS runs a marathon, right? Simply because Canelo's the cash cow. Let's put it this way. The WBC, if the WBC belonged to Anthony Joshua and Anthony Joshua makes so much money a year, that is more money for that sanctioning body. So let's get into the politics of that. Whereas it's Deontay Wilder now. Deontay Wilder, he made, I don't know what he's making for the Fury fight, but his last fight was, I think it was 2.5. You know what I mean? What's 2.5 in paying the sanctioning fees from that fighting purse versus Anthony Joshua's last purse? You see what I'm saying? So if it's 15, 18 million bucks, 20 million, I would rather bank on getting Anthony Joshua to WBC if I was concerned about that, because I know that those fees will increase with that particular person's star power, and salary and fight purse, salary, fight purse, same thing. But in Sulaiman's case, it's quick for him to say that. Of course, he was banking on Canelo winning anyway. That's what I see. From him saying what he said, I know this was a ceremony, but he said, well, I'm so happy that Canelo is a part of this belt. I'm like, well, I mean, what are you saying, that you're not because Golovkin was? You know what I mean? And I don't know. I think that the ceremony just showed favoritism. I think it did, from silencing critics, because you don't have two close fights like that and say the other fighter proved that he was a better fighter. You know what I'm saying? That's just like Canelo proved that he was a better fighter than Lara. He didn't. You know what I mean? You don't have a split decision win over a person and prove that you're the better fighter. It doesn't work that way. You know what I mean? Something has to define that fight. Nothing defined that fight. It was a high stakes, tit for tat fight. Canelo Alvarez moved forward, came forward. He was aggressive because he was forward, but he got hit a lot too. You know what I mean? Both of these guys got hit a lot. Canelo Alvarez bled profusely from a cut, and the cut came from an uppercut. It was a very good fight. But to prove that he was the better fighter, I think not, and I would disagree with that. And I gave my reasons for that. So anyway, you guys tell me what you think about this particular video, what the remarks of the president of the WBC said. Please subscribe, and you guys been counterpunched. Peace.